Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for the Believe in Hawks episode. Hawks lose tonight, 139-120 against the Denver Nuggets in Denver tonight. A game where they did not have Jalen Johnson or Bogdanovich play in this game, along with the other rash of injuries that they had coming into the game. And ended up in another blowout against a team that just isn't a good matchup for the Hawks at all, especially if they're not healthy. So, obviously, it's the streak they were on before this, but obviously, you have another opportunity to create a new one. As now they're 1-1 so far on this 2-week road trip they are taking. It's starting their West Coast trip to, against Denver. Appreciate you all, you guys, tuning into another Believe Hawks episode. Sorry I didn't get a podcast out against the Raptors earlier this week. I was sick earlier this week. You guys may notice during the pod I sound a little snuffy. Might see me sniffle a little bit, maybe even cough. Still good and over, cold. So, that's why I just wasn't feeling great to do it. But I am back, and I am here to give you guys the content that you guys are coming for on the Believe in Hawks podcast. Obviously, guys, if you enjoy this episode, subscribe to the channel, like the video. Audio listeners, leave a rating, leave a review as well. And obviously, follow me on Twitter, Bryce_2K. Appreciate all the love you guys give me. But So here's the thing with Denver, right? As I've mentioned, it's one of those things where I feel like Denver is basically the version of the Hawks that they want to become. And what I mean by that is by the way they operate offensively. Denver tonight in the league is usually one of the best assisting teams in the entire league. Tonight, they had 44 assists against the Hawks. Hawks still had 34, which is good. But Denver did it at a high level tonight, an elite level tonight. And obviously, you have one of the best, some people may say the other up there with Trae Young, playmaker, and Joker. We know how elite he is from the center position with his playmaking, his vision, his passing. And so that's what they want to become. It's just Denver has a more rounded out team to do that. Obviously, the Hawks didn't have two of their top scorers tonight, so obviously that impacts things as well, because in the first half, the Hawks competed. Vic Krejci gave him 14 points tonight. Obviously, you would hope any game you get 14 points for Vic Krejci, you win, because that means he gave you a significant boost off the bench. Especially the night, too, where Garrison Matthews was kind of off as well. So you're kind of looking at some things, and you're kind of like, all right, well, we need somebody to step up, and they got that from somebody in Vic Krejci. So I'm really happy that he played better tonight. But it's definitely one of those things where I think you have to look at where you are as a team and realize, that's what we want to become. And so we still have a ways to go. We still have strides to be made. And Denver did not create that overnight. And that's what they Carl Malone. Mike Malone mentioned when they won the championship. He said, took years. It wasn't something we did overnight. And then they eventually were able to have it pay off with a championship. And the Hawks are still in the developmental process of getting to that point. I mean, and tonight too, the Hawks, from an offensive perspective, they only had four turnovers in the first half. So they played some clean basketball in the first half. They had 13 for the game, so they got a little bit more sloppy in the second half. But overall, they played better. They played well offensively in the first half from a clean perspective. And so, I think that the Hawks, it feels like in a way they've punted 2 games against Denver. They played them twice this year. I think it's the only time they play them these 2 times. And it feels like the Hawks kind of punted both of these games. Like, we got some guys banged up. I'm not really going to force it. And that's what teams do in the NBA nowadays. That's just how it is. Where it's like, if you got a guy who's sore, a little banged up, do I really need to throw him out there? Obviously, fans and people are going to be like, oh, yeah, we want to try to win. But obviously, you have to think about it's a long season. I don't want to play him now, potentially risk of injury that could get worse. And then, now it ends up being a 2-week, 3-week absence instead of just a game or 2 because you decided to play him in a regular season game. Because then you have to just kind of think about how meaningful is this regular season game? And so I think the Hawks, like I said, came out tonight and, they competed in the first half. Rishi, looked more aggressive. Krejci gave you some. Trae Young, he had 30 points tonight. He gave you what you would want from Trae Young in a game like this. He just didn't have that other guy. If the Hawks just got Jalen Johnson's averages, they would have basically been a much tighter game. Probably would have won this game by 1, just if he hit his averages and everybody else had the same stat line they did. So, obviously we'll never know what we would have looked like against Denver this year with Jalen Johnson. Unless somehow the Hawks make it to the finals and Denver makes it to the finals. But, that's what happens. And one thing I want to address and point out is that I know sometimes after these games, people go crazy about the team and like, oh, we need this, we suck, we can't do this, we're so far away. And I'm like, you don't have Bogey or you don't have Jalen tonight, right? And it's funny, I saw my guy Brad Rowland, he was on Twitter, and people were talking about, we don't have a center to guard Joker. And he was like, man, it's like he's the best player in the world or something. And I'm like, yeah, like y'all acting like, why don't we have any answers for him? I don't know. It's not like he's a top 5 player in the NBA or something. It's not like he does this to every team on any given night. It's not like it's just the Hawks or something. And and that's really how it is, because it's like people are asking that question, like, why don't we have answers for him? And I'm like, yeah, of course, if we had more size, it could help. But like, Joker tonight wasn't just killing us with scoring. He was killing us with passing. You can have a great center all you want. If the man's finding people open and cutting and stuff, there ain't not much you can do about it, regardless of who your center is. So I think we sometimes, I feel like, I always say this, since there's 82 games in a year and most fans are emotional, every loss you see, you're always going to think about what went wrong, what players suck tonight, why we need to trade that player, why this team is terrible, why this, why that. Instead of like, but after wins, we're like, this guy is great. This team is great. They're coming together. We're going to make a run. We're going to do this. It's just the life cycle of a fan, because you're seeing positive or you're seeing negative. And so you're just going with what you just seen, right? You're going off the emotions you're feeling right after you saw a win or a loss. And so for me, I'm like, like I said, some teams just don't match up with you well. Denver is just a bad matchup for Atlanta. That's just how it is. Like, yeah, we can make an addition and try to help that, but at the end of the day, realistically, when you're building your team, you're just trying to build your team to be the vision of what you want this team to become, right? Because so far, this Hawks roster at full strength has been able to compete with Boston, Cleveland, New York, Milwaukee, or, well, we haven't played Orlando yet, so I can't say it. But you would assume, especially without Paolo and Franz, they would be able to compete with those guys. Western Conference teams is a little bit different. Western Conference is a very tough conference for a reason. And, the Hawks obviously have had their issues. They play a Lakers team next that looking to get their win back from what happened in overtime against Atlanta. So that's going to be a tough game. But, overall, I just think more about it is just like make sure guys are healthy. I'm sure Jalen Johnson's going to be back the next game and be ready to play in that game. So we'll have Jalen back. We'll see what the update is with Bogey. He's been questionable the last few games. It was interesting today. He was labeled as doubtful. So I don't know if that's more of a, yeah, we definitely ain't playing Bogey, so let's just make him doubtful, or what. He could also be back against the Lakers as well. So these are all potential things that could be lining up for the team as we move forward. But, it's just, we try not to overreact to too many things, especially on this pod. I don't try to overreact to these losses. I just take it for what it is. And tonight we just didn't have a good matchup and we didn't play well, especially defensively. So that's just how things go. And I'm not really too concerned. Biggest thing for the Hawks, as this entire season has rode on the whole time, it's just been health for the team and just making sure guys are good. And the Hawks are obviously going to take precautions for certain players because they understand how important they are in the long run. And at full strength, like I've said, the Hawks seem like they could compete with a lot of the teams that we have played against, some of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And listen, this month of January is a tough month for this Atlanta Hawks team. Like this is a month where it's good that they came into it 3 games over 500, because it will really shed more light on this team because of just how tough the schedule is this month. Obviously, outside of the fact they're going to be on the road for 2 weeks. I mean, think about who they're playing. Lakers, Clippers, which Kawhi is supposed to come back for that, apparently. You probably feel like, yeah, we should beat the Jazz, right? Suns, they're not playing great, but at the end of the day, Stars play. You know how that can go. Rockets, good team. Suns again. Bulls, I mean, technically outside of that historic comeback, Bulls pretty much have the Hawks number outside of the historic comeback. So that's a tough game. Celtics, tough game. Knicks, tough game. They're going to want, they lost to us twice. They're going to be like, we got to beat this team. Pistons, they're up and coming. Then Raptors, back-to-back. You hope to sweep those games. Timberwolves want their lick back. Cavaliers. So, like, you clearly see this month of January is going to be tough for the Hawks. There's only, if you want to put the Bulls in there, there's only 4 games that you are like, we should win. Maybe Pistons are 5. But they're, like I said, they're better. And we've already lost to them this season. So, maybe 5 games that you feel like out of this entire month, like, oh, the Hawks should win that game for sure. And then you still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games that they could lose, or you may not be favoring them in that game. So, that this is going to be a very interesting month to kind of see where they are and see, okay, is this team ready to compete a little bit? Because like I said, I don't think anybody's still coming out here with this team should be a championship squad or anything like that. But I think it will give you a good gauge of what things are. Obviously, the trade deadline is going to be on the horizon. Trade rumors will heat up. We know the Hawks are apparently looking for a backup point. We'll see how that commences. Clint Capella, we've heard rumors that they want to move Clint Capella because he's in his last year of his contract, so you can get something back for him. So, I mean, this month could really change how this season goes or help negatively or positively just because of the fact that there are some major things that are yet to be decided. And so I think for the Hawks, really the big thing is just to come out every game and just compete. And just continue to work on what you've been building, the culture you've been building, and continuing to go and just get better as a team and get healthy. So I think those are probably the biggest things you want as a Hawks fan. If you want anything out of this season, it's just the guys getting better, getting improved, and continuing to move up. And obviously, if they win the majority of the games this month, I think if you have had questions if the Hawks are needing to be taken seriously coming out of that coming month that I just named off to you, I mean, you're going to probably feel like, yeah, the Hawks should be taken seriously, especially if we get another win over Cleveland or another win over Boston. Or, obviously hopefully I'm thinking if we can just split the LA matchup, if we can get one against the Lakers or the Clippers, I look at that LA double header as a success. So we're going to have to see how that goes and how the Hawks continue to grow and get better from that. And so on and so forth. So but, I think, the team is really, like I said, in a really good spot right now. And like I said, even after tonight's loss, I think there's not that much to be worried about overall. If it was me, if I'm a Hawks fan or a person who's covering the team, which I am. So that's just how I feel about it. Just my 2 cents. But let's go into look into some player performances tonight. Zachary Richeche, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Zach, over these last few games, has looked much more aggressive offensively. He looks much more active on the offensive end. He's starting to look for a shot more on the offensive end, whether that is the 3, whether that's driving to the basket, whether that's trying to get someone posted. He has been more aggressive in you. And I think we've seen you're slowly seeing the growth of the offensive improvement through that, And so, and that's really all you want to see from Richeche. It's just more aggression on the offensive end. Just make yourself a threat offensively. make defenses say we have to guard Zachary Ricochet, and that will do wonders for the Hawks offense. The Hawks offense is so like, pretty much Hunter's pretty much giving you 20 a night. Trey gonna give you, if he has a good offensive night, 30. Jalen can give you 20, 25. So from those three guys, you can get a total of 55. You can potentially get 75 points between those three players. So the biggest thing you want is, what is the supporting cast give you? If Ricochet can give you 15 points, that is still a huge 15 points. Dyson gives you 10. That's a huge 10. Vic gives you 14 like he did tonight. That's huge. Kongu gives you some good bench production. Bogey gives you good bench production. That's what makes the Hawks tough to beat. So Ricochet continues, if he continues to on the upward trend with his offense, I think you're going to feel much better about this team. You're going to feel much better about what they're doing. You're going to feel much better about what they can become as the season continues to go along and things continue to develop, right? So that's obviously something, like I said, to look at and see and be able to understand that Ricochet is becoming more aggressive offensively. Like I said, 3-point shot tonight was not falling for him, but overall, he was 50% from the field. So if he had a couple more threes to go down tonight, he would have had closer to 20 points. So love it. Keep it up, Ricochet. Just keep being aggressive offensively. Trae Young, like I said, played 30 minutes tonight, 30 points. So he scored a point a minute. I mean, he was good this game. 8-17, 4-10 from the 3-point line, 8-12. I mean, he had the highest negative out of all the players. But I mean, for the most part, he gave you the offense you needed. And that's what you expect out of your star player. So I think Trey's did his thing offensively tonight. Obviously, they knew what he wanted to do from a passing perspective. So he only had 9 assists, still almost had a double-double with assists. But, Denver obviously was trying to clog up those passing lanes so you couldn't get clean and good looks from that. Here's a fun fact for you. The Hawks record when Jalen Johnson, Trae Young, and DeAndre Hunter play is 14-5. Without one of them, 4-11. So clearly shows you what the basis of the team is in terms of who needs to be healthy for them to win the majority of these games. But like I said, Trae Young did his thing tonight. Like I said, just a game where he needed somebody else to come along with him. I always like to say, when you sometimes go against stars and teams with stars like Jamal Murray and Joker, who do you have to come along with you? My favorite thing to always tell people. I said, you go against a guy with 2 stars. If they both dropping 30, who come in dropping 30 with you? Tonight, Joker had 23, but Jamal Murray gave him 21. Michael Porter gave him 21. He had 2 other guys come with him with 20. Hawks only had 1 other player had 20 tonight. How are they going to win that game? Unless you're getting 15 plus from everybody else, which you didn't. And so that probably in a game like this would be Jalen Johnson. And Jalen was not available tonight. Because basically you got what you needed from Hunter, and you got what you needed from Trey. You just needed with Jalen Johnson's 20 points, and you probably could beat this team. This obviously would have been a high-scoring game if that happened, 140-139. But, and maybe that could have helped the defense too, because that, you would have to assume defensively that it would be better for them if they could. But, just something to point out. Dyson Daniels tonight took a lot of shots tonight. Did not have a good offensive game. He took 17 shots. He was very aggressive offensively, which I think you like, because there's been times where Dyson has seemed very timid offensively. And like I said, Dyson is a bit of an adventure offensively every game. Some games, he shoots it well. Other games he struggles a lot. I think for him, it's just finding his right shot profile, which I feel like I said, when he plays point guard a lot, he's more aggressive and he attacks defenses. Where I think when he's playing at 2 guard, he kind of is someone who they try to use sometimes as a connector, or he takes threes more often, which he didn't make a lot of them tonight. But overall, he had 6 assists too. So he did some good playmaking tonight, 5 rebounds tonight. Because pretty much when Jalen's out, Dyson is kind of the guy who has to step a little bit into that role that Jalen left when he's not playing. And so I think, like I said, you just need Dyson to find his rhythm offensively, find his shot profile, And I think everything will be all right with Dyson Daniels. And like I said, he brings so much other value than scoring on the team. So you can't just look at that and think that's the end all be all for that specifically. Like I said, Garrison Matthews didn't have the greatest game tonight. He was 4-8 for the field, but 1 of 4 from 3. This is a bad matchup for him. He can't really guard anybody they have. Can't guard Michael Porter Jr. Can't guard Aaron Gordon if he played. Can't guard Westbrook. Can't guard Christian. Like, he just, and obviously Garrison's not a great defender anyway, but if like I said against other teams that have shooters, Garrison can play. Because, I mean, pretty much if you know like a guy like Duncan Robinson's going to be pretty much taking threes, Garrison just has to fight off screens and just get a hand up. But if you're going against real guys with real size and ability to put the ball on the ground, Garrison's going to struggle in those matchups. So if he's not providing anything to you offensively, again, it's the same thing y'all like to get on Bogey about. Well, if he's not scoring, he's a liability. Well, what do you think happens if Garrison Matthews isn't scoring the ball? They're basically the same type of player, except Bogey can do a little bit more. And you know, that's just how stuff goes. Like, I mean, he's not going to be great every night. So that's why I'm not, again, too concerned about the game for him. Like, he struggled tonight. We hope he gets his shot back against the Lakers. That's kind of how it goes. So I know some people, you know, either you've been praising Garrison or you've been trashing him. That's what I've heard from either or, whatever, right? But like I said, didn't have the greatest night tonight. 9 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I mean, he, still doing different things. But like I said, obviously you would like to get a little bit more from him. The Clint Capella tonight, 4 points, 7 rebounds. Good, not a great matchup, really, against Joker. So, I mean, that's not much to say about that, realistically. Like I said, Vic had 14, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Probably overall for him, his best overall game. And this was a game that he helped them just because of his size, playmaking, and his aggressiveness to score the ball. So, like I said, if this version of Vic Krejci comes out more often, like for the Hawks, that will put the Hawks in a really good position. If this version of Vic Krejci is not the version that comes out a lot, then you will see some issues. Obviously, when you're not going to get any points for it. So, I want Vic to continue to build off this performance, take another step up, and just get consistent. Again, I know he ain't giving you 14 every night, but if he can give you like 7 to 10, that is a huge plus for them. Because right now, he will be in the rotation, even at full strength. So if he could just add some type of offense along with what he can do defensively, passing, rebounding, it will do wonders for this Hawks team. DeAndre Hunter continues to be excellent. 20 points tonight, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 of 14 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. Continues to be 6th man of the year candidate. I also saw he was also in the – actually, no, that was Dyson. But also Jalen Johnson, most improved player, odds favorite. Yes, sir. But Hunter, man, he's just been great. It's going to be him and Peyton. I mean, if he continues at this rate, it will be him and Peyton Pritchard for 6th man of the year. And it's going to be very interesting to see what that comes down to. Because it's easy, because Peyton may have the advantage just because his team's better. But if the Hawks still have a winning record, I mean, I don't see how you could really mark that off so much against DeAndre Hunter, because he does more than Peyton Pritchard. So, I mean, he gives you 20 off the bench. We're at a point right now where DeAndre Hunter is giving you an automatic 20 off the bench. I mean, he keeps this up, man. DeAndre Hunter, man. The redemption arc of DeAndre Hunter after so many people hated him for all these years, it's crazy. Kongu, 9.7 rebounds, 2 assists. Again, a matchup where he's smaller than Joker. Again, with Joker's skill set, it's just a tough matchup for him. Gave him what he could, and we just keep moving. We keep moving, man. And then Devin Rodney tonight, 10 points tonight. Listen, the thing about Devin Rodney is he usually could give you something offensively. He has done that in the majority of appearances that he's gave it to the Hawks. He is just god-awful defensively. So it's just a plus-minus thing with him. It's like, you put him out there, You got to hope that team has a bad offensive player for him to really be a positive when he's on the floor. Because offensively, he's good enough to be out there. He can provide offense for the Hawks. That's not the problem. So the best thing you can do is you just hope you can try to hide him a little bit when he does play. It's just defensively, he's not a great matchup at all. And when you have such a short, you only have 10 guys available tonight, you work with what you got. So, which I know they don't really want to play him a ton, but, when you have to on nights like this, hey, 10 points, 2 or 3 from 3. At least he give you something. And Barlow got some minutes tonight, obviously, with the injuries. 2 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. So, like I said, Hawks lose tonight to Denver, 139-120. Got to shake this loss off. You're going to LA. Got to get ready for the back-to-back LA. Lakers, then Clippers. Back-to-back. Got to get ready for that game. So, Hawks try to get back on the winning track, hopefully. And if they can do that, navigate through this tough schedule, I think the Hawks will potentially be in some good shape moving forward. So, appreciate you guys tuning in to Believe in Hawks podcast. Like I said, if you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe to the channel and like the video. Audio listeners, let your friends know about the pod. And follow me on Twitter at Bryce_2K, man. So I appreciate you guys tuning in for another Believe in Hawks episode. It's your boy, Bryce Lewis. See you next time.